Hello and welcome to Dr. Vince Presents, and I'm your host, Dr. Vince Leone, and this is the show for doctors looking to leave a mark on their community through building a practice and a life of integrity, wealth, and leadership. I'm happy that you're here, and once again, it's time to build your legacy. This episode is brought to you by Niche Mastery, a high-level consulting program for doctors who specialize in spinal decompression and peripheral neuropathy. Find out more at www.nichemasteryvip.com. And now, on with the show. I am Dr. Vince Leone, and this is Dr. Vince Presents, okay? And today's topic is episode 9, the gap, okay? And so what the heck is the gap? And first of all, this is a mindset topic, okay, for chiropractors. And let's go ahead and dive right in. So what is the gap? All right. So the gap is the difference between where you're at and where you want to be. Okay. The difference between those two is essentially our gap in our abilities, our mindset, our habits, our strengths, our weaknesses. All of those things make up the gap, right? And it keeps us from achieving those things without those skills and attributes, etc. We're not able to get to that point that we want to get to. So, and I call this the source of all frustrations. And why do I call it that? Well, because our current self is, like I said, it's not capable of attaining those things. We see what others have, what others are achieving. They're in practice and they're doing what we want to be doing. So the question is, how do we get there? Okay, and how do we conquer the gap? Well, first we need to recognize it's there. The old cliche of the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? So first you have to recognize it. If you've been in practice for any amount of time, and say you're at $10,000 a month, and you want to be at $30,000 a month, and you're just not getting there, you may go up, say to 12 or 13,000, or and then you dip down a little bit below 10. If you're not getting there, if you're not making progress, then you are missing critical things, skills, attributes, habits, etc., that you need to acquire before you can attain your goals. And no one talks about this for whatever reason. They all say, well, let's set our goals. We're going to get there by this time, and these are the numbers we want to hit. But, what about acquiring the skills and the attributes to actually attain it? What you want to do is become the person, and this is critical. You want to become the person who actually, it's effortless for that person to achieve your goals. Okay, effortless. So first we got to recognize it. Then we need to create our to-be list. So we all have to-do lists on a regular basis. We need to create our to-be list. Who do we need to be so that we can attain our goals effortlessly? And we'll fight like hell, right, to not breach our standards. Like, we don't want to go backwards in life. And so we'll do everything in our power. We'll, expend any money, do anything to not breach our standards, right? We don't want to go below where we're at. But it's very, very difficult for us to just attain any of these kind of lofty goals in life without having the skills. So we need to create that to-be list, and then we need to start implementing. So here's an example of a to-be list. We may need to improve our diet so that we can have more energy to accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish. We need to maybe we need to wake up earlier, right? So the vast majority of the population wakes up between 7 and 8 a.m. Well, if you ask any billionaire or most millionaires, they're up at 5, right? So that's a very, very simple thing that you can start implementing right away, and you'll be in the minority, right? Because, again, most everyone's waking up, dragging their butt out of bed at 7:30, quarter to 8, and then they're scrambling, and it's a harried morning and all that type of stuff. Actually, I have another episode that's just about the morning routine and how we can make it a great morning so that we can have a great day. So we got to wake up early. Okay. If you wake up at 5, everyone else is up at 7, you have 2 hours on everyone else, right? So I remember I posted on Facebook the other day, one of the doctors was talking about, the unions and, all this type of stuff about the unions. But the point being is, I was saying, without a unified front, we're never really going to take our place at the table in terms of the healthcare. And then someone was saying, like a comment to me was saying, well, this isn't a competition. It sure as hell is a competition. Life is a competition. Being in business is a competition. Everything is a competition. If you're not competing, then you're not playing the game. Okay, so we need to wake up early. We need more time to set our schedule for the day, what we want to accomplish, get your exercise in, get your mindset work in, all that type of stuff you can do in those 2 hours. And it's just, you're just one step ahead of everybody. I know that by 7 a.m., I've done more than most people have done all day. Okay, that is the fact. So next, we need to set our goals regularly. So if we have a goal of, say, we want to go from 10,000 to 30,000 or 40,000 to 80,000, whatever it is, we need to have that in front of us on a regular basis, So I recommend, I like this journal by Grant Cardone. It's called the 10X Journal. Great journal. It has, you have a section for your goals. And I like to keep goals at 90 days, so 3 months, and then 12 months, okay? That way we have our short-term goals that, are right in front of us that we can start, that we can see, and then we can touch, and then we can, ultimately get there. And then the 12-month goals, those bigger numbers, so that we have a map, right? It's like going to the airport and you just jump on any plane. Who gives a dang where you end up? That's what life is like without setting goals. You got to have a roadmap, right? And then another example on this to-be list, you got to become a master, right? You have to become a master at, all those things that would encompass the person that could accomplish your goals very, very easily. Okay. So maybe you need to become a master at marketing. Maybe you need to become a master at money management. Maybe you need to master a technique, master sales, be a master communicator. Maybe you need to be a master at speaking so that you can get out and speak in your community. All these things need to go on your to-be list, and then you start implementing and working towards. And so if it's a master marketer, then you need to figure out, okay, what does that look like? What would that master marketer be able to do? And then you start laying out the groundwork and the steps to get there. A master money manager. For whatever reason, most doctors are just not very good with money. And this is terrible, right? Because we have a ton of debt typically coming into practice. So we got to get really good at managing money, right? Paying down debt, and paying down the debt that makes sense. If you're at 3% on your student loans, it doesn't really make sense. And say you start making a lot of money, it may not make sense to dump 20 grand a month in trying to pay off your student loans right away. Now, credit cards at 20%, that would make sense to start trying to chunk that down. Technique. And, what does it take? Okay, I want to be a master at, a shoulder protocol. Well, you need to find out, who's teaching this? What's the course? When can I sign up? When can I start? When can I expect to be really darn good at this technique, right? Sales or communicator. I want to be an expert communicator. Well, what does that look like, right? I want, or being a master speaker. What does that look like? You have to be comfortable in front of crowds. You got to be able to put together a PowerPoint. You need to be able to, persuade people to do what you want them to do. So whatever it is, becoming a master at those things, you need to lay out the groundwork, figure out, okay, what would being a master at this particular skill look like, right? And then you need to set your steps to get there. And then you start working on your steps. And then you want to have a goal of when you want to be at that kind of master level. So all of these things, again, if you're just tuning in, is to become the person, right? Become the character who has the skills, the attributes, the habits, etc. that attaining your goals would be effortless for this person, because you're not that person right now. Okay. Again, say you're at $10,000 a month. There's a big difference between the doctor who's at 10 grand a month and the doctor who's at 50 grand a month. Big difference, right? They are better at marketing. They are better at their technique. They're better at interpersonal communications with the patients. They're better at managing staff to get the most out of them. They're better at honing their office systems so patients have an amazing experience that they want to keep coming back and tell all their friends and family about. You need to figure out a way to get from point A, who you are now, to point B, the person whose abilities and skills and habits make attaining those goals effortless. Okay? And the difference between those two is the gap, right? That's the gap, which is the title of this episode. And again, that gap is what causes so much frustration, because we want to get to that place. We want to have the money. We want to have the recognition. We want to help all those people, but we're just not that person yet. And you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So you got to figure out, what does that person look like? What skills, habits, and attributes and habits does that person have? And then how do I go about attaining those? And so that I can be that person, and then the rest will follow. Okay, so that is this episode. I tried to keep it right around 10 minutes today, and I'm going to try to keep it at 10 minutes because we're all busy. They've been typically around 20 minutes. But I try to shorten this one up, get you good information in a short amount of time. Look, if you're interested, you want to learn more and you want to talk about this, you want to talk about your practice, you want to talk about marketing, you want to talk about honing office systems, improving your mindset, go to this website. It's www.meetme.so/Vince Leone DC, and you can schedule some time with me, and we will take about 45 minutes. This doesn't have to be a sales conversation. Maybe we'd be a good fit to have me as your coach, maybe not. But I guarantee you, if you're at $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month, I can most likely help you. And the reason why I say that is because, we just did last month what most doctors do in a year. And I don't say that to brag. I say it because don't let your pride stand in the way of trying to get some help. These calls are free. And I'm not going to try to talk you into being a client. What I do want to do first and foremost is just try to help you, okay? And so if one thing comes out of that conversation that can, improve a small part of your practice or get you a couple more new patients a month, then you're on your way, right? And you just start building and building and building. Okay, so I'm Dr. Vince. I hope this was helpful, man. So I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care. If you like this episode, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and then like my Facebook page at facebook.com/Dr. Vince Leone Consulting. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode.